Alrighty, what is going on, guys? My name is Skinny Bone Jones, and this is my WWE Fastlane 2015 pay-per-view review. Yes, just moments ago, 7 minutes ago now, the Fastlane pay-per-view came to a close, and it was quite the interesting pay-per-view. We're going to go through each match, analyze it. I'm not going to really talk about what happened in the match, but I'm going to go over the main spots and then give you guys my analysis on the match. So, we're going to start things off with the kickoff show. There was no match like there usually is. Instead, it was Miz TV with a special guest, Paul Heyman. Now, as much as I like Heyman, the segment in and out of itself was pretty average. It's the same stuff as always to continue the story that Lesnar isn't worried about who might challenge him at WrestleMania, whether it be Roman Reigns or Daniel Bryan. Another thing that I really liked that was during the pre-show, or the kickoff show as they've been calling it, was the whole split between Damien Mizdow and The Miz. Because, you have the Damien Mizdow who would be getting the huge pops from the crowd, and then The Miz would shut him down. At one point, they even had, Miz had Mizdow sit in the corner like a child, and so I thought that would be interesting. Maybe we'll see, the payoff at WrestleMania. But to start off the show, we had six-man tag team action. It was Dolph Ziggler, Ryback, and Eric Rowan taking on The Authority, consisting of Seth Rollins, Kane, and The Big Show. It was a very slow-paced match that would have been better if it was simply Rollins versus Ziggler in singles action, but it's pretty obvious as to why they included the other four guys in the match. Kane rarely wins on pay-per-views anymore, so that was a bit of a surprise if you didn't know. The Authority picks up the victory against Ziggler, Ryback, and Rowan. It also throws the look strong on TV, you lose on pay-per-view theory out the window, because the heels ended SmackDown looking strong and still won here at Fastlane. But post-match, Rollins hits a curb stomp on Ryback and also Rowan. Then, I guess it's expected. It's been expected for 8 weeks now. But Randy Orton's music starts up and he runs down to the ring. He looked in great shape, I gotta say. He's really been getting up there in the last 3 months while he's been gone. He got a huge reaction, which is good comparing, how bad the crowd was. He hit the RKO on J&J as well as Kane, and then he starts chasing Rollins. When Orton was about to hit the apron DDT, Show pulls Rollins away. Rollins was able to get out of there, and then he ran out of the arena while Orton stands tall in the ring. Now that return was well done, with Orton going right after Rollins, which is where we left off when he took a hiatus from the WWE, and Seth getting out of there like the good heel that he is. We've seen him do that so many times in the past. Orton has been ready to come back, we know, for a month or more, so it made sense that he'd come back here to start that Orton versus Rollins at WrestleMania feud. The next match, though, is Stardust versus Goldust, the two brothers going at it with Dusty Rhodes kind of at a crossroads, pun intended, between his two sons. So this match, this is what frustrated me. The ending was so botched. I can't even explain it. Goldust gets Stardust into a roll-up. The referee hits the mat, 1, 2, doesn't even hit the mat or say 3, and then calls the match, rings the bell, and says Goldust wins via pinfall. So that really confused me. I guess it could have technically been considered a 3 count, but the fact that the referee didn't even say the 3, that was eh. But in terms of the match, I like both Goldust and Stardust, but that match was below average. I expected something better from them. Even the crowd rejected it from the beginning, as soon as these guys were making their entrance. They had a bit of ring psychology in the early part of the match, but the fans just didn't seem to care, which is a continuous trend throughout the entire night. The problem is that Goldust and Stardust lost so many matches in the past couple of months that the fans just see them as losers and they don't even care, when in actuality these guys can put on, I'm sure, just a clinic in the ring. I mean, when it was Goldust and Cody Rhodes back in late 2013, early 2014, those tag team matches they had, especially the one with the Shield at Battleground 13, oh, that match was so good. We need that good match. Hopefully the payoff comes, especially with the botched ending. Hopefully we get a payoff at WrestleMania 31. But the next match was for the Tag Team Championships. It was the Usos with Naomi taking on Tyson Kidd and Cesaro with Natalya in the corner. So, your winners by pinfall and the new Tag Team Champions are Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. Or should I put it as Lillian Garcia so eloquently said, your winners and still the new Tag Team Champions, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. Yeah, there was a bit of botch tonight. If you watch Botchamania, you're going to see a lot from Fastlane on there. It was, though. That was a pretty good tag match. I mean, I have a lot of high expectations from both the Usos and the team of Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. But once the match came to an end, it left me wanting more. Because I was hoping they could get, 17, 20, 25 minutes and really have a classic tag team match. They weren't allowed to have that show-stealing match because the show came right to an end at about 8 o'clock, which is unusual because usually ever since it's been on the network, they've ended about 7:45, 7:50. But what they did was they made the most out of the time they were given, and they told a good story in the ring. Kidd and Cesaro were great on offense. The Usos' comebacks were fine and typical, but again, we've seen better from both teams when they get more time in longer matches. The finish was a bit out of nowhere. Yeah, the crowd didn't pop at all once Tyson hit his finisher, and so it kind of came unexpected. I didn't even know that was Tyson Kidd's finisher. I thought it was still the neckbreaker from the top rope, but that might just be me. But I do like the fact that Kidd was able to win clean instead of in a cheap manner, as we'll see throughout the course of the pay-per-view with the whole cheap victory. But the next thing that comes up is the Triple H and Sting face-to-face confrontation to start off the second hour. Triple H comes out, leather jacket, new t-shirt, had his fist taped up like he was ready for a fight. He comes out and talks about how he's the man for the last 20 years who's carried the WWE, and then Sting comes out. It was, in my honest opinion, a shame that he didn't get as big of a pop as he probably should have. But then, Sting doesn't talk at all throughout the entire promo. So Triple H is just cutting this, WWE was better than WCW, and he's like, you were on the ship that sunk, and how the WWE Network and DVDs and all this merchandise, action figures, everything can help Sting live his legacy. So he was basically giving him an offer to join the Authority. Hunter then tries to cheap shot Sting, but Sting blocks him, hits him with a few right hands, and then Hunter comes back, and it's a whole big brawl. Triple H is dominating for the most part. And then Triple H leaves the ring. He goes under, he grabs a sledgehammer, comes back in the ring, and the next thing you know is we see Sting with his classic signature baseball bat. He slams Triple H in the corner with it. He's holding it up against his neck. Triple H is forced to drop the sledgehammer. Sting's basically just holding him hostage. He points the bat at the WrestleMania sign, and right there at that instant, you know that at WrestleMania 31 at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California, it's going to be Triple H versus Sting, WWE versus WCW. Then Sting walks away, he hits the Scorpion Death Drop on Triple H, and that is the end of that. Now, in terms of an analysis for that segment, it was an obvious outcome. Who honestly thought that Triple H was going to, hit a pedigree on Sting and then come out and not even let Sting get a chance, especially when doesn't even have a mic in his hands. I thought it was weird, speaking of the whole mic thing, not having Sting talk. It was a bit different, but the pointing at the WrestleMania sign is enough for that. They were able to get the point across that they wanted while setting up the big match for WrestleMania. Everyone knew that they were going to go in this direction. If you didn't know, get with it. Use social media. Everyone's been known that this match is coming. It was an easy setup that I thought they pulled it off really well. It would have been an even better segment in front of a louder crowd. The crowd killed the entire show for me, and words can't even describe how disappointed I was. I follow this Wrestling Facts account run by a Twitter friend of mine, Jamie98TV, and one of the facts was WWE hasn't hosted a pay-per-view in Memphis, Tennessee in nearly 8 years, and I was like, I wonder why, because, they're a bit quiet. But enough of me ranting about how shitty that crowd was. On to the Divas Championship match. It was Nikki Bella, with Brie Bella, of course, in her corner, taking on Paige. Your winner, and still the Divas Champion, is Nikki Bella. Now this was, ignoring the crowd, putting the whole crowd aside, this was a good effort by both women. Just like they have that sort of chemistry, I think they have potential, if given more time, of course, to put on a really good match. I expected Nikki to retain. From a fan perspective, I really wanted Paige to come out with a victory, but Nikki Bella, of course, had to do her whole cheap victory thing. She won with a roll-up. So there should be possibly a rematch, although it might be AJ Lee as the next challenger if she comes back in time. WWE usually does multi-women Divas matches, not really single Diva matches at WrestleMania, so we might have a triple threat at WrestleMania, AJ, Nikki Bella, and Paige, which, I wouldn't be too mad about. I think all three women are great wrestlers in the ring. Maybe even have Brie Bella turn on Nikki Bella again and then have a fatal four-way at WrestleMania. I think that could be a decent match. But next up is the Intercontinental Championship match. It's BNB versus the Lunatic Fringe and Dean Ambrose. Your winner via disqualification from another botched ending is Bad News Barrett. The match ended with Barrett up against the turnbuckles, sitting down in the corner there, and Ambrose just continuously attacking him, kicking him, so the ref called for the bell for the disqualification finish. The match was maybe 7-8 minutes. That was just a bad finish. That's the WWE way of not wanting to have a guy look weak by losing, so we got his heat back after the match by hitting his finisher and also taking the title, which was Dean Ambrose. This will probably lead to a WrestleMania match with Ambrose winning the title there. Barrett didn't really look too good in this match. I thought he was going to win by cheating or something like that, but apparently the goal was to keep Ambrose looking like a threat. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. It really sucked to see how little the crowd cared for Ambrose's awesome offense. He can put on a good match. He works his character to the point. Wake up, people! Goodness gracious. If you're going to be the crowd at the pay-per-view before WrestleMania, you better have some damn energy in you. But next up it's another segment. We have the Druids come out. Undertaker's signature Druids. The music is playing, the smoke is up, and then the Undertaker's gongs hit. Then a casket is being rolled out by a couple of Druids, and it's set in front of the ring, and out of the casket comes Bray Wyatt. And you know what he says? He says he comes out in Undertaker's music, as I said. He says, now his soul is lost, stuck in limbo between your world and ours. My mission is clear. I know you can hear me. I know that you are listening, and I want you to know I don't fear you anymore. I am Bray Wyatt, the new face of fear. At WrestleMania, I will claim the soul of The Undertaker. And it ends with evil laughing. I wrote that quotation down from his segment because I just thought that was amazing. This feud has been rumored for months and months, and the reason why Wyatt has won nearly every month for the last 3 to 4 months to make him look as good as ever going into that match against Undertaker. I'm hoping that Undertaker's in great shape again. He looked fine in a video I saw on WrestleZone with Michelle McCool from Instagram, so hopefully it turns out well for him. I've seen different reports. It's either Undertaker looks like he's 85 years old, Undertaker looks like he could put on a hell of a match with someone. I'm happy that Undertaker is most likely going to be wrestling. WWE wouldn't have gone that far tonight if they knew Undertaker wasn't going to wrestle. But you know what? Let's enjoy it while he still does it. Undertaker's got a couple more matches left in him. If this might even be his last match at WrestleMania, I hope for the best with this match. I'm going to be behind it 100%. But the next match is the United States Championship match. It's Rusev versus John Cena. John Cena hasn't contested for the United States Championship in about 9 to 10 years. So hopefully, maybe some prestige will be brought back to the United States Championship. I know Rusev hasn't done much with it ever since defeating Sheamus on that one post-Raw show or whatever. But Rusev is able to defeat Cena, as the ring announcer Eden, she said that it was by submission, but in actuality Cena passed out, which we've seen Rusev do to multiple opponents in the past. That match was pretty good in terms of power. They did well in terms of hitting power moves, countering out of them, doing a lot of believable falls along the way as well. They deserve credit for the effort. That match was exactly what it needed to be. A match between two powerhouses in the WWE. Rusev clearly busted his ass. I'm impressed by Rusev. I have to say that. I'm impressed. He's a great athlete, and he's not somebody that just gets heat because he's a foreigner. He keeps getting better in the ring week after week. It was very noticeable that Cena was calling spots. He's always been bad at that. But I noticed it a lot more and saw people on Twitter talking about it. It's no surprise that the finish wasn't that clean, and it opens up the likelihood for another match at WrestleMania. They haven't done a lot of USA versus Russia so far in the feud, so I expect them to push that part of the story more in the next month. But basing off of the last few years, Cena will get the win at WrestleMania. Simple. Okay, well, moving on with that, it was Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. I posted on Twitter and I said, if Roman Reigns can put on a match that's longer than 10 minutes, I will start to back him. And he did. The match was about 17 to 18 minutes, and I gotta give both men credit. It was a damn good match, I thought, for a build-up to WrestleMania. In the end, Daniel Bryan went for his running knee for the second time, because Roman Reigns kicked out of it the first. Roman Reigns jumps up, hits a spear for the 1, 2, 3, and it's confirmed at WrestleMania it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Now, I'll still go saying it's a good match, and also say that it was designed to kind of please the Bryan fans for the Rumble, because he was eliminated within 10 minutes or so. And it solidified Reigns as the rightful contender for the world title. It wasn't spectacular, and I'd even go to say that Bryan carried a majority of the match, but Reigns hit his big power moves when it mattered. The good part of tonight was we got to see 3 Mania matches solidified. They were pretty much confirmed beforehand, but we have Triple H versus Sting, Taker versus Wyatt, and Reigns versus Lesnar. They look good on paper, and there's plenty to build on each. We're 35 days away from WrestleMania. That is going to be it for this pay-per-view review. Make sure to leave a like, comment what you guys thought of the pay-per-view. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Universe Mode is picking back up on the channel, ladies and gentlemen, in WWE 2K15. I'm Skinny Bone Jones, of course, signing out.